What's up, guys? It's your boy GP with DeOrganized Media, bringing you another awesome episode of DeOrganized Nightly, where we get your favorite Giga Brain Astronaut Scholars together to talk about the latest Bitcoin news, world news, alpha, fresh and hot off the presses, you name it, we got it on DeOrganized. Hope that you have had a very high frequency start to your week. Happy Tuesday. Going straight into Wednesday, we've got a lot of base stuff going on in our ecosystem. Hopefully that we get into the stacking DAO and Zest discords and we're not fading stacks. Hello. But yeah, lots of cool integrations happening, bigger handshakes, bigger people posting, and real Bitcoin DeFi exists on stacks. So I hope that you're not fading Anon. Let's go. I've got some cool bookmarks for you. So let's see what we got here. That is not my bookmarks. As usual, GP is not ever ready. Doesn't ever have his screen ready. Okay, here we go. So let me blow it up a little bit. Boom. All right. So look at this base, Chad. This is my handle. So you can definitely follow it at GPSE_STX. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. ET, we have the Zest Town Hall. Be sure to set your reminders. Do not miss this one. Also tomorrow at 1 p.m. ET, we will be joined by Bamber Fishcake, aka Jamie F., founder of the Peggy Coin, and the weekly Discord screen share. Tune in for your chance to win a Zest community chest full of SIP10 assets. And look, I made this little info or graphic earlier. The Zest weekly Discord screen share featuring Peggy. They had a rebrand, and now they are the dog coin. So very, very cool. Very based. Go check it out. Get into the Zest Discord. We're going to have some fun tomorrow, and we're going to give away some SIP10 assets. Coming from this guy, Parachute BTC, this is why you don't post your private keys ever. Okay, so remember how I mentioned I had got one of those Cassius Bitcoin bars? Yeah, it's a 100 BTC one, and I got it back in 2012 for like $500. Crazy. Now that's worth over 10 million. I knew I couldn't just keep sitting on it. So yeah, even though I was kind of unsure, I finally redeemed it today. Coming from a guy named John Galt, he posted the private keys. Don't ever share your private keys. This is what he did right here. Boom. And then he, like, for some reason, felt inclined to like lift this part up and show the key here to the Bitcoin bar. Don't do that. You'll lose your stuff. Somebody swept the wallet of $40,000 of Bitcoin Cash. Gross. That's 0.4 BTC. No biggie. Never post your private keys. Please make sure that you're practicing safe self-custodial practices. Do not share your keys with anybody ever. Never, ever, ever, ever. Anyways, moving on from the Watcher Guru, Justin, the SEC approves conversion of Grayscale Digital Large Cap Fund into an ETF holding the following cryptocurrencies: BTC, ETH, XRP, SOL, and ADA. We also know that Grayscale also has a Stacks Trust. So maybe, hey, there might be something there for you. A little bit of alpha, SEC approving them. Really cool. Coming from Wormhole, this is huge. This is all the rave this today on this Tuesday. Stacks, handshakes, Wormhole. Let's go. SBTC and STX are going natively multi-chain with Wormhole NTT. Wormhole will integrate Stacks to take 1.5 billion in SBTC and STX multi-chain, starting with Solana and the Sui network. So this is based type of little. I love this graphic. Whoever created this graphic is sick with it. Love your work. Keep going. But yeah. Stacks and SBTC going multi-chain. So here you go. Very, very based. Love it. We'll talk about it a little bit on the show with the guys. Moving on from the Bitflow Finance crew, you can follow them at Bitflow_finance. STSD XBTC swaps are now live on Bitflow. You can now swap in and out of your STSDX BTC position and back to SDX or any major SIP10 token anytime. Full flexibility, earn BTC yield, and stay liquid. Love it. And it's got this little, they put a little video together of somebody swapping from STSDSDX BTC into SDX there. So very based. I love it. I have liked it and I've shared it. Coming from the Hermetica camp, and you can follow them at Hermetica5. Watch our founder explain our transparency dashboard live on stream with Dog Father Crew. See how you can verify USDH's Bitcoin backing in real time. If you do not know about USDH, educate yourself. Let me tell you a little something. USDH is the first Bitcoin-backed stablecoin in existence, and it is native to Bitcoin. It is a rune. So very based, very, very based. And, I like my stablecoins backed by Bitcoin. So Jacob, however you call him, he is explaining the transparency back dashboard in this 1 minute and a half long video. I love the transparency. Jacob is a base Chad in this ecosystem. Got to meet him out at Bitcoin Vegas, and I think he's got a very nice product. So go check out Hermetica 2.0. Go earn some yield on your stablecoins with Hermetica's USDH. Moving on from the Zest Protocol crew, and you can follow them at Zest Protocol. Another Zest weekly recap is here. Let's dive into the numbers, and shall we? STSDX deposits are up 5.56%. More users are putting their STSDX to work as collateral on Zest. USDH loans are up 8.81%. People are leveraging up, going to participate in some yield arbitrage. You can go borrow for less than 5% and then stake on Hermetic for 7%. So there you go. There's some yield on a native Bitcoin-backed stablecoin. Without having to sell any assets, you can borrow. So very base. AUSD supply APY is sitting above 80% right now, but that won't last long as more capital flows into chase the yield. Okay. So if you're supplying AUSD, USD, you're getting paid right now. So go check it out. People are going to go get some yield any way possible. That's a wrap on another Zesty week. See you next Tuesday for the next weekly recap edition. Stay zesty. Note, the recap is NFA and Zest and other app yields are variable at any time. Love it, love it, love it. Definitely get into the Zest Protocol Discord, guys. I'm telling you, you're missing out on a lot of fun. Again, from the Zest Protocol camp, Stacks is becoming the rails for the Bitcoin economy, with over 5K BTC secured, making it the leading Bitcoin layer 2 by BTC supply. But it is Zest that is truly activating Bitcoin liquidity, with more than 500 BTC already deposited and earning yield. You can earn 4.02% APY for SBTC, supplying SBTC as collateral on Zest and lending it out. So go put your SBTC to work with Zest and earn some base APYs. Let's go. Coming from the Stacking DAO camp, and you can follow them at Stacking DAO. Over 99% of voters on Stacking DAO have backed SIP31 so far. Currently, 2.5 million SDX deposited on the protocol have been used to cast a vote. You still have 10 days to cast your vote using STSDX, STSDX BTC, or natively stacked STX. And also, if you've supplied any of these assets on Zest and are earning yield, you can also go to stackingdao.com, go to the vote tab, and you can still cast your vote. So very based. I am also the community manager of Stacking DAO, and we also have a lot of awesome things on our activity schedule that just dropped yesterday for the month of July. Go check it out, guys. Get into the Stacking DAO Zest and Zest Discords, and start earning with some base chads. This is an important announcement that was made yesterday, so I'm going to reread it again. Important announcement from Stacking DAO. The Stacking DAO website will be undergoing maintenance on Thursday, July 3rd, from 7:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. UTC. During this one-time update, the website will be temporarily disabled. We'll share an update as soon as it's back online. So making a little bit of an update here on the Stacking DAO website. So nothing to fear, just letting you know right now. That's what's going on. I don't want you to get all shooken up like you go to Stacking DAO. Everybody and their mom's going to Stacking DAO right now to play with liquid stacking tokens. So just wanted to make sure it was clarified that there's a little update coming. So good. Again, from the Stacking DAO team, you can now swap STSDX BTC for any Stacks token on BitFlow. As we know, this unlocks more utility for STSDX BTC, giving users greater flexibility to enter or exit the position, even into your favorite meme coins. I love it, and they've got a little picture of STSDX being swapped into Leo here. Very base, very base, and big shout out to Leo, Leo Coin STX. Let's go. Getting into the main news, Metaplan is now the fifth largest corporate holder of Bitcoin. This is the Japanese MicroStrategy, is what people are calling it, and they are accumulating at a rapid pace. So let's go. Insight: Binance open interest has reset, a move that often signals incoming price volatility. And it is the beginning of a month. So are we going to see the monthly wick being formed here, and we see a little downside action? Wonder how low we do test. But yeah, I think that maybe we send after. July is a historically bullish month overall. A few more months that have been bullish than bearish. So maybe we see a wick being formed and then we send. Just in, poly market traders see a 46% chance Elon Musk will launch a new political party by December 31st, 2025. Poly market, something big is coming in our ecosystem that you should check it out. There's a lot of markets that are like these prediction markets. And maybe you should just stick around for a little bit and follow DeOrganized BTC on X. Definitely. Yeah. Bullish. Sharplink Gaming added another 9,468 ETH to its treasury, raising total holdings to 198,167 ETH, earning 222 ETH in staking rewards since July 2nd, 2025. Look at that. Look at that. Justin, Elon Musk XAI has raised $5 billion in debt and $5 billion in equity, with funds going towards AI infrastructure and its Grok platform, Morgan Stanley says. Very cool, Morgan Stanley. And look at this guy. He is just cheesing. Go ahead, Elon, with your bad self. Bullish. Public companies outpaced ETFs in Bitcoin buying for the third straight quarter, adding 131K BTC. Net Bitcoin inflows for public companies and ETFs. And look at this right here, Q4. Boom, big month for public companies. And just outpacing across the board. Update: James Wynn was partially liquidated for 4.59 BTC, worth 486K. New liquidation price is 105,503. James Wynn, you're a degen, dude. Either learn how to leverage trade, don't long the tops and short the bottoms, or come on, man, James, you might need some help, bud. Moving on. SEC acknowledges Grayscale's bid to convert its digital large cap fund with BTC, ETH, XRP, SOL, and ADA into a spot ETF. We covered that already. Just in, CZ says he donated $10 million in BNB to Vitalik's open source biotech efforts, calling it just my little part. Chads or evil geniuses, villainous crypto sleuths. I don't know what you want to call them. I don't know what I think of this handshake. Breaking: the U.S. Senate has passed President Trump's big beautiful bill, clearing the way for a final vote in the House. Look at him doing the Trump dance. He is happy of this big beautiful bill. It is so big and beautiful. Moving on. Bullish: Bitcoin is forecast to hit a new all-time high in July, as historical data shows strong risk asset returns in this month. BTC has never lost 10% in July, and the S&P 500 posting gains 10 years in a row. Looky here. In July, we got boom, 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 boom. So like 5 months of July that were red, and about 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months green. So mostly bullish, like I said. So this is something that I was referring to whenever I was talking about July being bullish. Maybe we're forming that monthly wick on the bottom on the monthly chart, and then we just send, like I said a couple times. Breaking: Deutsche Bank will launch a crypto custody service in 2026. Banks are starting to allow, crypto assets on their balance sheet. So very bullish. Over 1.25 million new tokens launched on Solana in June, down 10.5% from May. There's just a bunch of pump and dumps on Solana. I don't know why. I don't want to go degen over there. I'd rather degen where I'm at. Michael Saylor and Senator Cynthia Lummis pushed to end double taxation on Bitcoin miners and stakers, calling it a barrier to U.S. leadership in crypto. Big. And I think this might be like the last one here. Oh, yeah. James Wynn just got liquidated again for 800K. So this was an hour ago. The other report was a few hours ago, so he got fully liquidated, is what it looks like. And with this last one, I'll bring the guys in after. The Smarter Web company adds 25 million in Bitcoin, pushing total holdings past 773 BTC as its treasury strategy accelerates. Love it. Everybody and their mom is hodling Bitcoin now. Ballerinas, scientific groups, universities, uh, nation states, you name it. They are buying and hodling on and keeping strong. And look at that. I got a little boost. Oh, I got a little boost. I got to check it out. If you do not know, BoostX_app. Go follow the X handle. Get in the know. You could be earning just like me for broadcasting and bringing you the alpha. Oh, 4.9. Get out of here. Let's go. Let's go. I think I have a little suspicion of who did it. But without further ado, I'm going to turn my screen off. Let's bring the guys on. We've got some lovely people in the house today. We've got Dark Dude in the house. We've got Crypto Dude in the house, the base dudes of the ecosystem. And we have the lovely Peace Love Music in the house tonight. Fellas, happy Tuesday. What are we doing?
What's up, guys?
Good morning.
Who's just waking up?
I was about to say good morning. Where are you at?
It's always good morning. That's all I know how to do.
It's Web3, bro. It's Web3. It's
yeah, I'm sorry. No G's here. All right.
Afternoon, evening. What's that?
Yeah.
What are those? So Wormhole integrating SBTC and STX, taking it multi-chain. How do we feel about that?
Yeah, it's an interesting development, that's for sure. I like the idea of more exposure to the assets and the ecosystem. Getting more interoperability seems like always a good idea for increasing liquidity and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, you give them a rail to kind of swap and come to our ecosystem. You give the traders that are within our ecosystem a rail to go into other ecosystems, kick some ass, and come back with more assets. I like
marketing for stacks outside of the ecosystem.
It is. It is. People see the SBTC as the most desirable wrapped Bitcoin asset. Right now it's completely decentralized with no federated systems, and that's very attractive to people. And we see Sui, we see Solana, and a few others adopting SBTC as their Bitcoin pay, like their Bitcoin in their ecosystem. So I love it. I think that it's going to bring more eyes, like you said. And why not, man? Why not? So I think that's cool. And I think there's bigger things coming. If this is the first thing that we're seeing from the endowment, right? Like SIP 31, this has obviously been talked about, and there's a cost of doing business. I wonder how much of this has been how long this conversation has been happening about Wormhole integrating SBTC, or is it fairly new and it just happened, right?
I believe that's been in the works for a couple months, just from what I've heard. I don't know.
It's not something that's going to just happen real quick.
Yeah,
that's a lot of consideration, I'm sure, for their integration.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it took a little while. They have a lot of stuff planned. I mean, even like that Hex Trust and the BitGet and all like Sui adoption of SBTC, Solana months and months ago, Aptos, like all of that stuff there's a lot of like lobbying and deal making going on to just kind of expand the ecosystem, and that's part of the design. The design of SBTC was to be multi-chain.
Yeah, I mean, I think that my thesis is going to be my thesis is that Stacks will be the bridge for every chain to connect to Bitcoin, right? Is that too far-fetched now that we're starting to see some stuff like this happening?
It's definitely a bridge, a hub to connect to Bitcoin, and I'm sure there'll be multiple options in a decentralized space. There's going to be multiple options in the marketplace, which is fine. But Stacks is definitely going to be one of them, and there's a lot of the parts are already here on Stacks. It's just a matter of time at this point that the volume catches up with what's actually here to use and play with and build.
Yeah, I think that We've minted a lot of leaders in the Rue community, and now Rosar is doing his Vibe Coding 101 session. We've got Gary with Zero to Clarity, and then we have incentivization roles for new builders entering the ecosystem with the SIP 31.
What was that thing with Rosar and Gary?
So Rosar is doing Vibe Coding 101. He's teaching.
Okay. And Gary's doing the Zero to Clarity and
Right.
I mean, even no code clarity. Chris is no code clarity, and all this stuff. Stacks Ascent. There's all sorts of builders looking to build on Stacks have a lot of options as far as going out and finding.
Yeah, lots of tools and lots of resources to leverage that'll make your life a lot easier to bootstrap your app and
a great community of guys like you, dude. Like who are absolutely gonna like all Rosar and Gary and Trip and everybody, like all of you guys, Set Zeus and like Eric is coming. You guys all kind of Rafa. There's so many devs that actually are going to go and help the guys, especially new guys that are trying to learn. If they're actually earnestly putting work in, you guys are absolutely going to go and support them and help them figure it out too. So it's
100%. Yeah, we've all been there as a little bit green around the edges, so to speak, or whatnot. So, getting a little bit of friendly help can go a long way to move you past the hurdle, so to speak.
Right. And there's all the guys like out in the ecosystem like me and GP and Darth and all sorts of other people that'll go out and like poke around and give feedback. Like there is a cohesive developer community on Stacks that's getting even more close-knit and organized right now.
Yeah, it's badass to see people like minting new builders. Go ahead, Darth.
I was gonna say, I don't know about developer, but I got a master's degree in FAFO.
Let's go fuck around and find out. Let's go, dude. Yeah.
I'm a doctor of FAFO.
A doctorate, bro. You don't even want to find out, bro. Trust me.
Trust me, I'm a doctor.
I have all the FA, and I have FO.
I like that. So we were messing around in messages. Me and Reese had a call today, or yesterday. It was either yesterday or today. And we were like, dude, saw T.O. from the Pizza Ninjas talking about, hey, man, I may want to build a Ponzi game on Stacks. It would be fun. So we were like, maybe we might reach out and see about having him on Art on Stacks.
What means exactly a Ponzi game?
I don't know, but it sounds provocative and it gets the people going. So I don't know. I don't know what it means.
He's like, I want to create a Ponzi game. It's like, okay, please explain more.
So he's gonna come on Art on Stacks, and we have a group DM now, and we're gonna figure out how to make that work. And I'd love to connect with him because I got to kind of briefly meet T.O. or kind of like get a shirt from him, and was like, "You're T.O. Thanks, dude." He
was out inscribing. He walked past me, shook somebody else's hand.
Dude, he was busy, dude. He was working, so I was like, okay, I like your shirt, dude. Thanks. So
please tell me it was not like one of those like fucking movie moments where they're like, hey, and then he's walking past you.
God.
He
was actually chatting with Ken Leo. All the Xverse guys were coming in, and we were standing there live streaming, and I think Jack was there, and I forget exactly who was on my right. But then I ended up like it was like a madhouse of people coming in.
It was jumping.
I bet.
It was jumping.
Yeah, I'm jealous I didn't get to go.
It's at the same place next year.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be crazy. And that venue was insane. So it was really cool to kind of connect with people out there and meet people from the Stacks ecosystem out there, like Stacks billion Bitcoiners, because that's what it was. That's what it was this year. From another point of view, people were saying like, hey, don't go out there with Stacks as the main focus in your conversation. Make sure like it's Bitcoin focused conversation because you'll run into a lot of maxis. It seemed like there was like none of that at all this year. Like people were open to learning and about how they can put their Bitcoin to work. So that has me very bullish. The Stacks booth was very busy. So yeah, big shout out to everybody that was running the Stacks booth. Y'all were getting down and getting to it. But yeah, like it seems like it is time. It feels like July is the month where a lot of things are just going to happen. I don't know. I just have this feeling. I don't know what type of news, but my good buddy Lifer says, show me the charts and I'll show you the news. And I'm thinking that bottom signals maybe in the second week of July we'll see some fucking big green candles, and then everything
Oh
starts
yeah.
jumping again. What'd you say, Dark?
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I'm expecting this first week of July. Like, listen, the anatomy of a monthly candle is you can split it into 4 parts. And the first week of the month, you want it to go down first. You want to make that juicy little wick, that little discount that you want to buy. And then we get the 2 really good trading weeks in the middle of the month to make the body, and then the wick for the last week. So we want it to go down first for the first week and then up. And it could still go down for July or go sideways, but either way, the Stacks community wins. If it goes sideways, we have more time to accumulate. If it goes down, we have more discounts to buy. Or if it goes up, we win.
Yeah, dude. I think that this conversation has come up a couple different times. That I'm more bullish on a 67-cent stacks right now with the fundamentals than I was at a 384 stacks with pre Nakamoto, slow blocks, no SBTC, all of that. The fundamentals have only gotten better. So the discounts are for buying right now, and hodl on, keep using these different base tools in our ecosystem. There's many ways that you can be putting your assets to work to earn more Bitcoin, and that's exactly what Stacks is for. It's for building on Bitcoin and earning more. So um, I love it. I love it. ETHCC is going down right now, and Rubes was out there repping for Stacks. Munib was out there. I heard that they were having a good time out there, and we need to be hitting all of these different get-togethers, these conferences, these whatever you whatever box you put them in. We need to be hitting these. I would love to be out there like getting coverage on what's going on in ETHCC. Um, maybe in the near future we might see something like that with this SIP, to where we're able to have a presence for Stacks and be able to cover what's going down at these conversations and do some networking. So I'm very bullish. I'm feeling like with stacking DAO's vote and a 97.7% vote on chain, um, it seems like 99% of people are voting yes for SIP 31. It does feel like a little bit of a lull, right? Because we had that whole push, like the appointments committee sessions and talking about in spaces for SIP 31, and then that happened from Vegas on to this moment. So we've been just grinding nonstop, and now finally the voting is here. It's kind of quiet. The calm before the storm is what it feels like.
Yeah, most definitely. It feels like the calm before the storm.
Well, it's 4th of July week.
Right.
You're heading into July. It's 1st of July. It's hot throughout a lot of the country. In the U.S. anyway, things are slow this time of year around here anyway. So, I think that the summer will be probably a little bit more sideways with some of, I think Ethereum might start making a run based on some of the things I'm hearing and seeing. Bitcoin doesn't seem to be, it depends on what happens over the next couple of weeks, but it looks like price is pretty solid right now, or it has a decent setup for price continuation to the upside. But I don't know that you're going to see a whole lot of running in the altcoin markets until closer to the late summer, early autumn time frame, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. I think your peanut gallery in the background has the right idea. The month of July is the perfect time to hang out outside, take a nap, play with your squeaky toys, You know, get a tan, wait for Ethereum to make new all-time highs, get the alts excited, because I mean, step one is Ethereum's got to do stuff because that's the leading altcoin. Then everything else will start to move after Ethereum has started to flip Bitcoin dominance, and we see movements up in that direction. So sit back, stay cozy, and you know, get a tan, hang outside, and it'll happen faster than we all expect.
Right.
Let me chime in real quick. You don't say that about Buddy. He is not a peanut gallery. He is a very smart, good boy.
That's true. He's right. You know, though, you know, he can handle it. He's cool. He's all right. We know that coming from Darth, it's all gravy.
Of course, dude.
But I love it.
Yeah, dude. He's got a squeaky toy. He ain't thinking about nothing.
Dog nephew, you're talking to the best damn uncle in the world right now.
Dude, world champ. This is what I do. I'm coaching flag football for my nephew. It's solidified. It was on the fence for a moment, and then my sister was like, I went over there yesterday. It's like, oh yeah, you're probably going to be coaching. So I'm going to be coaching flag football for a bunch of 5 and 6-year-olds. Never coached anything in my life. I am that uncle that is always at the practice yelling on the sidelines, like, kick the ball, you know? So I think I make for a good coach. I think so.
I agree. Yeah, I'm just telling you, my only plans for July are to take naps by the pool and hang out with doggos.
That's a solid plan. I got my boy right here. He doesn't ever get too far. He's like glued to my hip, man. We went on a walk on Sunday, and dude, like it was just too hot for him, man. Like it's literally 99% humidity, and it's 98 degrees outside. So
Buddy's been a little stir crazy a couple of days too. It was just too hot. But he can't, like, he needs to be. He's 6-month-old German Shepherd. He cannot run around enough in the house. It's just not happening. So,
oh yeah, shit's getting broken if the boys get like rowdy, shit's getting broken, man. Simple. You know, like Bruce is a German Shepherd Black Lab mix. Often people are just like, oh, I love your lab, and I'm like, I want to be that guy. Like he's a Shepherd mix, but like I don't want to like have to bust out papers and get into an argument, right? Like they're like, he looks like a Black Lab. Well, I mean, Shepherdors can look one of two ways. They can have those markings for like that German Shepherds do, or they look just like a sleeker Black Lab. So,
well, he does look like a large Black Lab. He looks a lot like Marley never made it on the show because it was like right towards her end that we were even doing the show, and she wasn't running around very much at all. Like she just kind of laid down, went outside when she needed to, and that was it. But she was a Black Lab, and there's a little bit of a similar look. You know, he reminds me of Marley. Bruce reminds me of Marley a little bit.
Yeah, and dude, he's gonna be a superstar one day. Trust me. My dog son, he can sit, he can shake, and he can lay down. He's so talented, bro. Like,
nice.
Those are his 3 things, and he can do them very well.
Hey, that's great. He's a genius.
Genius, bro. I'm telling you, bro. So yeah, I like that Darth is able to just like hang around dogs, chill by pools, right? Love it. We were talking about like before we got into the show, we were talking about like taxation on crypto assets, like whenever you work in this industry and like how you're being paid. Just weird, man. I want to be able to at least opt out.
It's income. It's income like any other income. You have to treat it like income. And then
Is it income like any other income, though, really? I mean, really?
As the IRS is concerned.
Well, the IRS would want a piece of your ass if they could take it.
Right.
Can I quote some song lyrics?
Yes.
We're here because we do it for the outcome, not for the income.
Let's go.
I like it.
Who is that? Is that Dave Matthews?
I have no idea.
This is the dumb joke.
You might have just made it up.
Oh, dude. Darth, are you an artist? I knew something about you.
Maybe. I don't know. I forgot how to count.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair game. So today on the Art on Stack space, we got to actually talk a little bit to 300. He was our featured guest, and we kind of got into like what makes him tick. He is the official anthem maker of everything in Stacks, and he has a very banger anthem coming out for Blockweb. So you guys definitely need to be following the Blockweb on X. Reese is a jam up artist, man, and he's got like 500 or so handcrafted pieces that all are interlocking with like 40 or 50 collab. I forget how many collabs he's got in his block web, but really excited to see that coming to fruition. He's getting close. Big shout out to Reese. If you're watching this, it's probably late for you, but if you watch back on this, I gave you a shout out. And big shout out to 300, man. I've got this collab that I've been cooking with him for about a year and a half now, just kind of refining. He did the tune side of it, I did the art side of it, and trust me, we got a banger collab coming. Don't know what we're gonna do with it. Also, I don't know how I got into the collab section of my brain. There's little pockets of information everywhere. I got into this realm, but got a collab with Doc, DJ Girl Volume 1, which will be the first NFT collection on Boom Wallet once it launches. And he wants to do something for the community with the mint funds. Of course, he wants to pay himself a little bit, but like he wants to do majority. He wants to do something for the community and spin up a community initiative led by the Galactic Art Collective and the GPSE. So really excited. Had that call with him earlier. Yeah, things are growing at a rapid pace, dude. Everybody's building, everybody's shipping.
That's awesome, man. Can I comment on you said he, of course, he wants to pay himself.
Right.
Everyone here in crypto is we're here for one primary reason, and that's to fire our boss if anyone is still in the 9 to 5.
Correct.
And the number one thing you have to do and like teach your brain how to do if you want to fire your boss is learn how to pay yourself. And that's a skill you got to practice. So like go for it, shameless shills, make sure you allocate whatever portion of the profits in your projects that you're doing, make sure you pay yourself. Make sure that you can get compensated for your time that you're inputting into the ecosystem in order to give yourself runway and build sustainably and with longevity. So yeah, bullish on artists paying
Yeah,
themselves.
you shouldn't feel guilty for taking a profit in a system that's based on consent.
You're providing value. That's what
You
you're
know.
doing. We're all creating value.
Nobody's getting their arm twisted to use somebody's protocol. You know what I'm saying?
No, nobody's getting their arm twisted to do. Nobody's forcing me to actually send boosts on BoostX and space.
Exactly.
You guys understood the assignment.
BoostX is a value add creation where it makes a mechanism where I can draw value out of engaging with people in a way that I otherwise could not. That also, like, it promotes whatever I'm actually dropping to those people. It gives me an opportunity to make a post and get some attention for me and get some attention for whatever it is that there is going on in that space. Maybe draw a couple more people in. This is all value, like they're all value activities that are driven by what dude created. Am I pissed off because there's a small fee involved in using it? No, because I want it to be sustainable, that he can keep building it and making it better. You know, that's just an example. Thank you for being a great example, dude.
Well, I appreciate that, and to that end, I'd like to point out that we all have the opportunity to find our niche and provide value and add value.
Right. It doesn't have to be one niche.
Yeah, exactly.
Value in multiple ways. Like I can provide value by creating a media platform, and I can provide value by mentoring people and getting more people on here. And
niche is probably a little too pigeonhole-y language, so to speak, but you're right. Find your where you're able to add that value, able to find some some feedback and start contributing towards people's betterment, basically.
Right. Many small gaps. If you can fill many small gaps, you're actually doing a better than if you just fill one gap really well.
I love this,
Exactly.
dude. This was the perfect response to what I love that came out of this, because this is one of the things in our conversation that we had. So thank you for that from all of you guys. That was fucking phenomenal. Completely, dude. The authenticity level of DeOrganized is unmatched. You're not gonna get any fucking scripted shit here. You're not gonna get something force fed to you. You're just literally, it's like a couple of guys talking about alpha, bringing high frequency vibes and shooting the breeze. Fucking love it.
I think we're at a real interesting point in history right now where we have the opportunity to basically shake things up just enough to where we can actually affect positive change without disrupting things too much to rug people. We have the capacity to basically build the change we wish to see and embody our better versions of ourselves, and I think honestly it all boils down to systems based on consent rather than based on coercion. And I know this is kind of a little bit off topic and slightly philosophical here, but I think it really matters when people think about how they operate in their day-to-day lives. They operate in their day-to-day lives voluntarily. They're not, I mean, unless they're straight up criminal, they're not going around twisting people's arms, shaking people down. So they have mutual respect for each other. So they should expect that same type of mutual respect with the systems in which they engage with, ones that are not going to essentially fuck them over, for lack of a better term. So Bitcoin embodies that massively. Bitcoin respects users a massive amount. You're not your keys, not your money. That saying. That is the essence of Bitcoin's ethos. You have true ownership.
Right. And responsibility with that ownership.
Yeah, with
Exactly.
Great power comes great responsibility, right? It's actually true.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
if you want to hold the power, if you want to hold that power, it's kind of along the like I often find myself saying, they that do not rule themselves are destined to be ruled by others. So if we don't actually control, if we don't look at and kind of give ourselves enough time to consider what we are engaging in to make sure that we are actually consenting, there's a lot of that going on. People just do what they think they have to do. They don't realize they even have a choice in the matter to a large extent.
Habit. There's a lot of habitual behavior in society. The whole monkey see, monkey do phenomenon. And people need to try to short circuit themselves out of that and actually think about, oh, okay, how does this choice affect other people and myself in not just the short term, but also in the midterm and long term. If they just took a more, holistic whole view, they would probably start to realize, okay, I should probably start aligning my interests with things that are more based on consent rather than ones that are based on exploitation, coercion, violence, and shit like that.
Exactly. We're here to redefine value itself. And if you haven't found your niche, or if you haven't found how to add value, just simply pay attention to the things that when you wake up that you can't go without doing. And that is your niche. That is how you add value. And that is how everyone in DeOrganized found themselves here. Is they're like, man, I wake up and I cannot go a single day without talking about this shit. That's your niche. And that's how you add value, and that's how you find your people. And it goes up only from there.
Dude, I love my tribe.
So based.
Got so much bass, so bass, dude. Don't you know? So fucking bass, bro. telling you.
It didn't line up. I thought it might.
We love to play. We love to play around, and we do it nothing it's all on the spot. That's what it is, dude. And people are finding niches. People are identifying gaps to fill. I love it, man. I don't think I could ever go back after I discovered what it was like to work in a permissionless, decentralized environment. Right?
Yep.
It's crazy. It's crazy,
Yeah.
dude.
That's the motto basically that everybody needs to build with. Permissionlessness. Help reinforce that. Help embody that and build with that in mind. And the
we're
users will
we're
benefit, and that benefits you.
we're way more productive as a species when we do it that way too.
Hmm.
Yeah, you get more
Voluntary
people that are
association.
loving doing what they're doing, more passionate about what they're doing because they chose to do it.
Yeah, this has often been referred to as the network state. By some, I guess, what do they call them? Thought leaders out there or whatever. So I forget who coined it, but it's I think kind of the inevitable trend is a network state of, I want to say where smart contracts basically supplant or replace social contracts.
But I think it'll also be a multi-network state.
Oh yeah, it won't be a single. I mean that's missing the point, right? It's got to be multi.
Right. So it'll be you'll have opt-in, opt-out networks. It won't necessarily be largely won't be geographically based. So to the paradigm you were talking about earlier, where it seems like we can actually like have disruptive change without actually having without having to have the old ways fall apart, and that process is kind of referred to as transcend and include. And it's really the only way to grow healthily. Like you have violence within you. Your capacity for violence isn't something you want to remove from yourself. You want to transcend your capacity for violence, but still include it within you because it's part of you. You can't completely get rid of it. You got to control it, transcend it, and include it. So it's the same thing with
violence inherently is not wrong. It's how violence is applied which is wrong. If it's used in defense, it's justified. If it's used in aggression, it's not.
if you're initiating force.
Exactly. This is often referred to as the non-aggression principle, and that's what Bitcoin embodies. Also, because every transaction is based on. Obviously, there is the exception where you're getting a wrench attack, but by precluding that or not including that, then we have basically, transactions are consensual because it's you're signing to push. It's not a pull model, it's a push model. So that matters massively because that means it's actually decentralized.
Right. Well, you can't wrench attack everybody.
Bingo, exactly.
You gotta have one big wrench or 1,000 small ones. I don't know how that happens. How do you wrench attack them? Everybody?
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Oh, dude. So have we moved into dodgeball BNS names yet? Or are we still stuck on The Office?
I have 1,159 BNS names. I can't tell you.
Over there.
Word.
I keep having ideas. So I'm like, is this worth a coffee? Yeah, I'll spend $1. I am a collector, and they're great. Memes are my love language, dude. And now I can connect like rare BNS names to actual memes, and it's great. It's my own art collection.
You're going to be able to onboard people on BoostX when V2 comes out and use those meme names as your referral name, and then start generating some revenue based on the use for the users you onboard. So
exactly. Use my referral link, LeroyJenkins.btc.
Dude, that's
it, dude. Bruce Reed, Leroy Jenkins. Like, you had all the good ones, man. And it's because you use your creativity to do it. Like, it's like you thought outside of the box. You did it first, right? And now you have all these. You have 1,200 names.
It's not thinking outside the box. It's thinking outside the padded room.
Exactly.
Padded room.
Yeah, because this is the crazy house,
basically. Right, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Non-conformist revolution. Let's go.
Well, yeah. When we're all ran by psychos, it tends to be a madhouse, right?
Yeah, dude. Guys, I think that what we're doing right now, just in this moment, is so important. I don't want people to like in a world where it's moving to like everybody's using AI tooling and people are communicating with robots and rather not talk to humans. Like that's when violence is like that you have a threat of like when people stop talking, you have a problem. That's
What's
where
the biggest
big issues
What do
happen.
you guys? Just quick question. What do you guys think the biggest vector is for a wrench attack?
Doxing your address.
I wasn't meaning physically, like as in like what body part to fucking attack. Jesus Christ, Pete. Hit him in the balls, the
That
nuts.
was my first thought.
Look, I'm in the Northeast, guys. I'm half Italian and I'm half Irish.
Gonna make you enough. You can't
I'm telling you,
legs.
number one vector. Well, I'm sorry. What were you actually at? I know you weren't.
So-
that wasn't serious.
Yeah, yeah. The question was to reiterate. Okay, let me try and reword this here. Victims of wrench attacks. How do you think those victims are typically, I guess, exposed, or how did they get, targeted to begin with? More than likely, what would you think?
They probably have podcasts where they talk about crypto all the time, and so they're very out there in the public.
I would be willing to bet it's largely related to KYC style information, personal information being associated to balances, so that way they can formulate whether or not it's the target, so to speak, as any type of money to steal, basically.
That's why it said doxing your address.
It's very dubious that KYC laws are
It's antithetical to security. I mean, straight up.
It's not constitutional for the government to require banks to violate your Fourth Amendment rights on their behalf.
Unless they're willing to classify my personal data as much as they're willing to keep the freaking Epstein files private and the fucking JFK files private, unless they're willing to take it to that level of secrecy, I don't trust them. And even if they were, I still wouldn't trust that. So, hey, personal information. The whole point of fucking money is to not have to know your damn customer.
They're
if I
not
knew my damn customer, I would just fucking barter with them.
Right. That's a violation of my privacy. They can't They can't ever make sure that the bank is not actually using that. It gets taken all the time, by the way. Like that information, proprietary data gets breached all the fucking time. There is no privacy. It's not secure. I'm not secure in my person and my effects by being forced to KYC.
Yeah, Google just got wrecked for literally everyone's info.
16 billion passwords, bro. Coinbase had social engineering exploit.
Something like that could legitimately take down Bitcoin. That's the kind of thing that could take down Bitcoin. Getting access to a massive amount of wallets, getting access to a bunch of people's Coinbase access, and being able to
socially engineered into a trap by the government. Yeah, through regulatory freaking requirements that basically are disingenuously propositioned onto the public without actual consent. So, I mean, this is basically what we're talking about. It's the same old fucking bullshit. They basically say, oh, it's for your safety, and really it's for, essentially power establishment, maintenance, basically.
Right. It's literally so that they can screw you. It's not for your safety.
I don't even necessarily think it's necessarily malevolent. A lot of it probably is based on good intentions, but they're just so fucking ignorant about the goddamn topic at hand. It's like basically trying to witness somebody that's never even turned on a computer trying to set up email. You're like,
the people that put those proposals forward are not just ignorant and ineffective. They're doing it because they're immoral and know what they're doing. The people that help them push it through, there are people that don't know better, that think that are just sold on the idea that it's for safety and it's security, and well, if you're not doing anything wrong, what difference does it make, and we're the good guys and all of that. But it's easy to talk away the principle idea and the reason, especially when people aren't even fucking thinking about what they want to do or that they have a choice.
KYC basically represents more or less the assumption that you're guilty by default until proven innocent. It's a show me your papers style checkpoint,
right?
And
everybody
that's freedom loving should be like, fuck that. Everybody that is like supports actual freedom, not just freedom as a buzzword, but actual freedom, should be wholeheartedly opposed to having to do any type of personal identifying just to have freedom to transact. You don't have to, when you're going to buy a coffee, or when you're when you're handing some money over to your friend, you don't have to freaking do a background check on your friend. That's just, I mean, come on. Fuck.
No, but if it's more than $600 and you want to like not pay taxes on it,
What, like $600 is jack shit these days.
I know.
So
A $100 bill is the new 20. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
So there basically needs to be a realization that we can either continue propping up a system that basically essentially wants to undermine our personal freedom and security as individuals in order to maintain its essentially assumed powers, or we can just actually non-violently, peacefully disassociate and build our alternative systems to where their fucking fake monopoly money is no longer required to transact products, goods, and services. We do that, and we like just basically take Bitcoin to the last mile, so to speak, as they call it.
I don't think we're ever going to get rid of not in our lifetime. We're not getting rid of the U.S. dollar. That's actually the rate.
Yeah, we already did. The U.S. dollar isn't even the U.S. dollar. I mean, it's some sort of bullshit derivative based on quantitative easing. That's not even. I mean,
well, and it wasn't, and it was actually
it wasn't even a dollar in our lifetime. It's like a
Civil War. You know, the government was reincorporated or restructured during the Civil War. It went bankrupt, and it was
exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot, and then during
back even further.
1913
and Creature from Jack Lyle. Yeah, bingo. So we're basically dealing with the derivative of a derivative of a derivative that is basically all nothing more than promises of violence. So, you know,
it all sprung out of the bankers that financed the wars for centuries before that. You know, it's all part of a similar and a ruling class establishment and different spy networks, and
it's an alignment of incentives that are basically financially incentivized to propagate war, and there's not much people can do about it because the monetary policy is centralized, or the monetary systems we all rely upon are centralized. So basically, if you don't pay your taxes, they can just seize your bank account. If you don't, there's all sorts of fucking basically ways where they can just straight up debase you as an individual because you weren't like a good little citizen that
we have a system that's predicated on the initiation of force to compel
exactly
compliance. We have a violent system, and so we can never actually hope to have a non-violent world order until we have a non-violent system of order.
Enter Bitcoin.
Hopefully we're getting there, but I think it's going to take. I don't know that we have to get rid of the U.S. dollar to get rid of
it's not get rid of it. It's just show to people how it doesn't serve them by showing them something that's better. That Bitcoin is already proving that as an example. If you just compare how much you used to be able to have in purchasing power with Bitcoin, 5 years ago or 10 years ago, whatever, and now versus dollars, and you do that same comparison over time, it's obvious which one is increasing in value versus which one is decreasing in purchasing power. So the more people become
had more money
to that
years ago.
Yeah, everybody did. Everybody. That's kind of the irony of all this whole thing.
Right? It's like the dollar has gone down 99% in value since 1971. So the idea of stablecoins themselves are a farce and a complete psyop. It's a fear-based 100%. Narrative. It's like, oh, I just want my money to stay where it is and not go anywhere.
In that it matches the value of the dollar.
Right, but which goes down only.
It's all psychological,
right? See, money is water energy, and water energy is only
you don't want to hold stable.
Take whatever form it takes,
unless you really are doing a lot of PA. You know when things are going up and down. And
Pete, your mic is behind you.
What's that?
Your mic's behind you. Can't hear you, brother.
Can't hear me. Don't worry, I was just rambling anyway.
I was just gonna say that like stable coins, like money is water energy, and water energy is only useful when it's in flow. Okay, when you have something like, imagine you have a pond or a pool in your backyard that is stable. The level isn't changing, it's not flowing, it's not going anywhere. What does it do? It grows fungus and it attracts parasitic bloodsuckers. That's what the banks are. That's what they're selling you, the lie that your dollar is stable, when the only way for money to actually be in a healthy state of flow is to always be in motion. So money is motion itself. It's action itself, and we only measure it arbitrarily by calling it a transaction, by using two reference points of what is worth to me versus what is worth to you. And if we want a real
stablecoins do serve a purpose of providing liquidity in crypto markets and a standardized priced asset that is not relative to the crypto market.
I think it's all subjective. Value is highly subjective, and that's kind of what the best part about Bitcoin is. You can kind of do what you want with your block space, so to speak. You got your little bit of byte space, and you can encode some. You can basically use it however you want. Basically, if you're willing to pay the network fee, right? That's the best part about it, right? Censorship resistant, little data payload, right? And so
exactly,
how we use it on Stacks is we use it to secure our L2. Basically, we use it to secure all our transactions. So that right there is the model. Basically leverage the security of Bitcoin to its fullest extent, get the programming capability via Stacks, integrate that into our infrastructure, and essentially tell fiat to fuck off. It's that simple.
Exactly. I guess I'm just coming from a trader's perspective. So, Peace, you're 100% right. The upcoming cycle, I believe, the overarching narrative will be the stablecoin super cycle. Absolutely every entity or individual blockchain will have their own stablecoin, and that will be a key to getting us to mass adoption, and therefore, like, the dollar will be part of that.
This is also
integration.
It's the institutional cycle. It's the institutional adoption cycle.
I mean, look at Wormhole. That's the institutional on-ramp, right? But yeah, I guess I was just going from an even further perspective, is that the differential in perceived value is what makes liquidity always in motion, always in flow, and what makes like trading a profitable venture, because we're in Stacks right now because the globally perceived value of it is precisely undervalued, and that's why it can go up from here. And it's been undervalued for so long that when it gets repriced to a relatively fair value, it's going to absolutely moon beyond that fair value into a premium, and then that's where we can get out and wait for it to settle and reprice in the next cycle. But yeah, overall macro bullish. And
well, all right, but when you say get out, in your mind, are you getting out into Bitcoin, or are you getting out into stable coins, or does it depend on what the territory looks like when that happens?
That completely depends on what the territory looks like. So ideally, like, say I'm bullish on precisely two ecosystems, on the Stacks ecosystem and the Pulse Chain ecosystem. When I get out, I want to be able to get out in either Bitcoin or a blockchain native stablecoin that I'm bullish on.
I want to clarify to everybody, I'm never getting out. I'm always in this bitch. I'm here forever.
Forever.
As long as there's a motherfucking blockchain to interface with and to do the things with, as long as there's some peers out there, then this shit's like the whole point of it is to transcend beyond the fucking fiat. That's really what it is to me. That's why I build.
But there might be a time period where it makes sense to put some of your stacks into SBTC.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, but they're most definitely a diverse. If you mean by out, you diversify your risk a little bit against a basket of assets, and for sure that makes a lot of sense, because that's a good way to hedge some risk, right? But the general premise for me is like, why would I want to go back? Like, what? That's like trying to basically convince me to go ride a horse when I have a fucking Lambo. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's maybe for fun? Maybe for fun.
Yeah, like,
but not for a means of transport.
The way it's looking, you might not even need to buy a house or get a credit card very soon.
Right. Yeah.
By the
dude.
way, I don't have a Lambo. I just wanted to make that as an analogy to make sure everybody knows I don't have
No
a
matter
fucking
how
Lambo.
much Bitcoin I had or how much value it went up, I would never have a Lambo. I could never justify
Me neither. Me neither.
that kind of
I
money
couldn't. Yeah.
on a
I feel
vehicle for vanity reasons. Like I'm not driving. I drive plenty fast. I don't need to
Yeah.
go that fast.
get me from point A to point B that's faster than an actual like horse. Yeah, that's cool by me. I don't need to be literally zooming in a Lambo to be content. But my point is, like, going back to fiat when we have programmable money just makes no sense to me. Like, why the hell would we want to do that?
Exactly. Yeah. When I say get out, I just mean exit the financial vehicle that is going to take me to get out of the rat race itself. So
Gotcha.
that's I'm in here to use these vehicles to elevate and then get out at the top and reallocate into other asset classes that are at that point relatively undervalued, like real
Right.
estate.
Well, and there's a reasonable expectation that should stacks actually have the repricing we all kind of expect it can with what we know about the ecosystem and where things are with it should have that kind of velocity where it will go past reasonable fair market value. And at that point, nobody ever went broke taking some profits. And you could always
Yep.
Reallocate, hold, wait until things settle down, get back in, and you don't
Yeah.
leave in the ecosystem necessarily, but you're levering your position and your early work.
Exactly. Can I share my screen to give a visual reference on the stacks price?
Yeah, dude. Please pull it up, bud.
Here we go. Can you see it?
Hold on. There we go.
Let's go. Okay. So this is what I showed GPSC, and there's two things I want to point out here. We're in a macro cup and handle. So we've got this cute little cup right here, and here's our handle, right? But ignore the colors of the lines. And then when we zoom in, there's two things I want to point out. We have previous highs right here, right there. So this impulse up broke previous highs. When you have higher highs being made and then a retracement, you're looking for two things. You're looking for a discount price array, which this blue box is drawn on the monthly time frame, and we had a very precise reaction off the monthly level. And then we had an impulse up. What did this impulse up do in this little micro time frame?
Faded the high.
It broke previous highs. Now, so I showed this to GP. I have this blue line on the weekly time frame. That is a weekly order block, the top of this bearish candle right here. And then I've got a box on the daily time frame for this discount imbalance where we have lots of buyers but no selling in this range. So that means I will be buying when it reprices down below this blue line. So in layman's terms, we go up, we induce FOMO to the buyers, we take out while simultaneously taking out the shorts, and then we retrace, inducing fear here. And you see this 0.5 level, that's the 50% range. So anything below the 0.5 level is a discount relative to this range. I will be buying under here. So I will be buying a discount in this range, which is also a discount in this range. See how that kind of lines up with the 888 Fibonacci level?
Yeah, two different things
So
lining up.
we're in a discount within a discount in a discount.
I think anything sub-dollar stacks is a steal. So that's what I've been going off of. Like, so I'm like, hey, accumulate is the game underneath the dollar. But
Exactly.
I remember spending a lot of stacks at like $2 to $3, and just having that psychological, it's $1, and spending a lot more money than I expected. Like I was really realizing at the time, like I spent a bunch of stacks and it was like 100 stacks is not $100, it's $300.
Yeah,
Right?
dude.
It's crazy. But when I say I intend to exit, I mean I fully intend to exit and start selling STX positions above old highs right here. So we've got a relative equal high here and here, and then our previous cycle highs. Now I will be taking some profits and making my total stacks position risk-free above old highs, but am I going to be holding for a potential $10? Yeah, definitely. But I'm so bullish on stacks that I don't own any stacks. And what I mean by that is that the majority of my STX holdings are in either GigaPepe NFTs or BNS.1 names. So any protocol on the Stacks blockchain is essentially a leveraged play on Stacks itself. So I don't actually own any Stacks at this point. It's all secondary protocols built on Stacks itself. And that's when I will be selling. It's the same thing on how I did 150x with an NFT from here to here when price only did a 6x. And that's the same play I'll be doing from here to here, except I have 1,000 NFTs instead of 20.
Yeah, but you don't have degenactivities.btc like I do.
It's true. It's true. I've only got Aubrey Plaza.
I love it, dude. But yeah,
But
I think
that's what I mean when I'll exit the ecosystem above here and
like
into something
Bitcoin,
else that
like,
presents itself as a discount.
degen activities, dude. I fucking love it. Me, I'm grabbing some Sipton assets. I'm scooping some NFTs. Like I'm getting BNSs. Like just a little bit of everything in the ecosystem so that I have exposure to it, right? That's where I'm at. And then I'm also stacking my stacks with stacking DAO, getting auto yield compounding, yield in STX or STX, so I think that's a play. I'm using Zest to borrow against my assets and then buy the dips, so I mean I think that there's a little bit of everything or anything for everyone here in the Stacks ecosystem. It's not just DeFi. There's based art. There's a real sound art community in Stacks actually. We've got all sorts of different naming services. We've got BoostX. We've got real base stuff going on, and we have GameFi. So I mean, this is what it feels like to be early. Like just everything is being built out. Everybody's planning. Every collaboration is getting planned out. So I'm hyper bullish, dude.
Exactly.
I'm loving a discount right now. Give me more discount.
Exactly. It's like we're above old highs right here with Bitcoin. So it's like you sell highs and then you buy lows. That's the I have two brain cells and I'm learning how to trade. Buy low, sell high. We're at the highs for Bitcoin.
And you trade NQ, right? Like that's the main thing that you like swing trade or like your leverage positions. You'll trade NQ.
Yeah. I trade this and I trade it based off of algorithmic time-based executions.
So only certain times in the day.
Yeah. So I had this marked out this morning as suspicious equal highs, and it came right here. It baited a triple top.
Are you on NQ? No,
this is NQ now.
You're still on STX.
Oh, I didn't change my screen.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, you changed to like your tab instead of your screen.
There we go.
Yeah, here.
Now you can see it.
Up, and then we'll show them how the NQ thing goes on your time basis, and then
Yeah. So I mean, this was this morning. The workday starts at 9:30 in the morning, and then I had these suspicious equal highs marked out. It went right up here, and it baited a triple top, and then it dumped to my buy side targets and beyond for the rest of the day. So either way, the protocol for executing any trades this week is you trade on Monday, and then you do nothing until Friday because one, it's a banking holiday with the 4th of July, Freedom Day, this Friday, and it's also non-farm payroll. So everything from Tuesday to Thursday this week is going to be generating liquidity. So it's going to be drawing big, obvious retail patterns. And then it's going to be stopping out both sides of the gamblers. So, like I said, for the month, I want to see us go down for the first week of the month and then start pumping up to new all-time highs. So, like for example, I'd want to see this stop out everyone who's betting on a bear flag, then go down, and it coulda, woulda, shoulda paid them, and then we'll bounce around until next week and start making new all-time highs.
Sick.
So
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate you,
that's the
brother.
gist of it. Anyways,
Later,
thanks for giving me my 15 minutes.
I fucking love your 15 minutes.
I just gotta jump. You guys have a great night. Good stuff, dude. Really, Darth.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
I'll talk to you guys soon. Take it
Later,
easy.
man.
Later.
But yeah, it's real Chad energy resonating tonight, dude. I feel like we talked about just about everything, and then I always love charts for some reason. There's just like something about it that it really does something for me. And yeah, I think we need to get a Landy X Darth Dude episode very soon. I think that would be very base to hear like you guys just kind of chopping it up about TA. Very cool. We got Ace in the house for the very final few minutes that we're gonna be here tonight. What's up, Ace? How we doing tonight, bro?
What's up, Chad?
Good evening. Hopefully my reception is good enough that this is coming through. Hey guys.
Yeah,
Coming
sounds good.
through clear, man, very clear. How's your day been, dude?
Yeah, it's been great. Just doing the whole basketball transportation for my daughter, and I'm out in the boonies, so I'm hoping that the reception hangs on.
Oh yeah, you're coming through loud and clear, man.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun in the Art on Stack space this afternoon, and 300 just killed it, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude. That we were talking about that earlier about how he's been so supportive of every project. He's the anthem maker of Stacks, right? He's made if you name a protocol, project, person in this ecosystem, he's made an anthem about it. So it's only fair that we did a little episode for him, man. Like it made sense. Darth, were you still going to share? You still looking at STX?
Just switching back to the relevant screen to show you that we're still bullish.
Bullish, baby. Let's go.
Let's go.
Buy the bottoms, sell the tops. That's what they say, right? It's not the opposite. Did I get that wrong?
Buy low, sell high. That's all you got to remember.
I love it, dude. I love it. So bullish as hell. We've got this bullish SIP. We've got bullish builders. We've got bullish grassroots community. What's not to love, man? Go out there and get you some stacks. Not financial advice, DYOR, all that jazz. But in seriousness, if I was a FA, I'd be telling everybody about stacks. But I'm not. So I just tell them to do their own research and then tell them not financial advice, and then I'm good, right? That's how that works. But buy some stacks, y'all. Yeah. So go ahead, Ace. Shoot.
I was just going to say how awkward it must be to be an Edward Jones financial advisor right now, where they weren't allowing people to buy Bitcoin in their portfolios, but now the government will allow them to use it for their mortgages.
Oh, that's odd. Yeah, that's like so it's like awkward turtle out of the conversation. Like you're not oh man, yeah, they feel weird. That's a weird
I'm
position.
sorry, come again? Come again?
You awkward turtle, like get straight out of the conversation, just swim on through. Like, yeah, we were wrong about that. It's like the reverse Kramer indicator, right? Like it's like how do you deal with that? How do you cope? How do you cope? The government's telling you like, hey, it's okay now. But that's what you get whenever you have an oppressive regime of regulators.
That's what you
You
get when
know,
you're asking for permission to exist in a permissionless ecosystem.
there you go. There
Gonna
you
get
go.
pwned
So if
by
you do a reverse, if you do a reverse mortgage on your Bitcoin, is it like a never-ending revenue stream then?
Good question. I love the points that we made tonight about working in a decentralized environments and having oxymorons. So good, so great, dude. We had a really good. Oh shit! You summon it. You say his name and he shall come. I said it and it happened. We got Landy in the house. What up, Landy?
My hero.
So, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Landy.
It's been a minute, homie. How are we doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it has been a minute. I saw a chart on the screen and I was like, "Hey, what
Wait a
is
minute.
that?"
Hey,
Hey, those are my. I'm the one that scribbles the lines.
I can count too.
I was just talking about. I was like, yo, we got to get a Darth dude Landy episode because Darth he trades NQ and speculates on stacks and a couple other assets. And you're our Bitcoin guy, right? Like you're gonna tell us the on the Monday, the Wednesday, and the Friday with the Goxteins. You know what I mean? So and the meme talk radios, just about everywhere. Two places at once most times.
Yep.
Yeah, what are you seeing, man?
In markets right now, I track Bitcoin as a vector for the crypto market as a whole, and as it's kind of lost the 106 level, it's kind of playing between 104 and 106 is kind of the zone of interest. We'll see, if it does want to dip down below there, as long as it's not closing under 104, then it's preserving a chance to try to recover 106 again. Market looks fine. Traditional markets look fine. They're due for a correction, but they keep cooking. A little bit of high time frame chop or, around, the daily and stuff for traditional markets kind of bleeding over into Bitcoin and crypto markets as well.
Yeah, we got an all-time high for an S&P 500 last week. We got a
Mhm.
highest monthly close in Bitcoin history. Um, yeah, you're right. It's due for like a little bit of like chop. I feel like, and open interest reset. So that's calling for some volatility as well.
Yeah, so yeah, we did get a decent OI flush. It kind of ticked up pretty substantially over the weekend. And that was to be expected, right? We're coming into a monthly, 2-month, quarterly, 6-month close, major higher time frame closes as we enter the back half of the year. And realistically, since making the high at 112, we're just kind of looking at, open interest kind of going sideways and down, and price pretty much following, right? In terms of OI in the market, seeing a lot of bigger players come in and buy up spot for various, like the ETFs and treasury companies and stuff like that, and more announcements keep happening. So it's worth monitoring, but as I said to Peace this morning, higher term time frame, there's nothing concerning just yet. Um, there's bearish cases to be made, but until you actually have any kind of confirmation of those, it's still bullish, and it's bullish until proven otherwise. So, traditional markets making new all-time highs. I expect Dow to follow. It's always lagging
Yeah.
to the upside and downside, and I expect Dow to follow soon. It's hitting expansion. We're probably due for a correction. I mean, when you start rolling in equities markets and traditional markets, when you start rolling into a new quarter and you have a big higher term time frame close like the 6-month, you would expect some adjustment and some repositioning. So we'll see kind of what the rest of this week holds. It is a short week. Traditional markets closed on Friday as it is the 4th of July. And we'll kind of see where things head. It's kind of funny. I don't know if you remember this, but when the whole kind of front running into the tariffs was happening and all the economic data that was coming out, and then of course the Six Sigma event, as it's known, as I was introducing apparently a lot of people to that term. that high volatility event in traditional markets, I had maintained that the economic data looked fine, and realistically, it was going to keep improving. And what we were seeing was a flight to cash and a reposition. And, it was a flight to cash and then a trade out of the US dollar, which is why Dixie's down. So, there's not really too much concerning. There's a lot of sideline capital still, but it'll start trickling in.
Yeah, I
It
don't
has been
remember. I don't remember that term, but you did introduce me to the triple witching, and then I asked you which triple witching would a witch watch, and I think that made you laugh. So
Yeah, it's like a triple / quad. It kind of depends on who you ask. But yeah, I mean, all the liquidity starts to roll over, repositioning happens. So, one of the things that we did see today, I keep a pretty close eye on what's called the credit spread, and we're not getting too much of a credit spread right now. We see, and basically what that means is the corporate bond sector diverting from the U.S. Treasury sector. So essentially, if you see a sell-off in corporate bonds and treasuries, that's moving out to cash. If you see if you see corporate bonds selling and then a move into treasuries, that's hedging and moving to stability, and usually a little bit more confidence in the U.S. economic agenda or outline. And then if you see treasuries selling off and then corporate bonds getting bought up, that's usually indicative of a more risk on or higher risk appetite. And then typically what you'll see is then treasuries will follow there shortly after. So like if you see corporate bonds getting bought and making a nice trend to the upside, but treasuries have not done that yet, they're still selling off, you'll typically see treasuries follow then shortly thereafter. If the credit spread gets too wide, then there's problems. But everything was fine even through that big Six Sigma event, the big crash coming into April, and throughout April. That was a very quick recovery, nice V recovery. That's kind of what I was looking for. It's like 60 days to find the low, and nothing too crazy there. I think we went 73 days to find the low from high to actual low. It was 60 some odd days. Let me look. Yeah, it was like 40 days on the actual trend and like 60 days from the high or something like that. But yeah, and traditional markets look fine. I know that everybody's concerned about Dixie. With Dixie falling off the map here and losing a major support, it's kind of at the next big zone of interest. We'll see what happens here. And realistically, I don't really see, like, if everyone's expecting rate cuts, I don't really see Dixie recovering super well. That's just kind of
right, yeah, that's that. So they're kind of speculating on the 29th and the 30th when the next FOMC meeting is that we'll get rate cuts. I don't know. I mean, we still got Jerome in the seat, right? Trump is like, hey, he's a dumbass, right? He's like, calling him a donkey straight to his face and saying he should be fired and all of this stuff, right? I don't know. I don't know if he feels any pressure, if he cares at all, or if he's just like,
nah, Jerome doesn't care. Is there ways for Trump to get rid of him? Sure. Yeah. There are provisions that he could use to, make the case to get rid of him. Right. Is he going to do that? No, because at this point he would have already done it. He would have started that process already. Now he can't just fire him. There's like certain things that you have to go through and show that he's being negligent and stuff like that. But I don't think that it's going to come to that. I've said this many times across many different shows and in my recap videos or my Monday, Wednesday, Friday recorded stuff, that I think Powell will be much more comfortable cutting once the Genius Act is passed. So tariff deal's done, Genius Act passed. I think Powell will cut. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't, because now you have a vector for demand for U.S. Treasuries.
So we've been talking a lot about the Genius Act lately and how it has a lot of like terminology in there about like banning algorithmic stable coins, yield bearing stable coins like USDH and
Mhm.
stuff like that. Crypto dude brought up some very, very valid points. And I'd love to get like Jacob's like take on that. I know you are, to my knowledge, you're still a Hermetica ambassador, right? Or one of the guys
Yeah.
on the crew. Yeah. So, like, what do you think? Has he made a statement about the Genius Act at all?
No, I haven't gotten his opinion on it. I actually do. I do want to hear his thoughts, because the Genius Act, of course, is going to mandate that the stable coins are backed 1-to-1 with Treasury assets, right? So U.S. Treasuries. Now, here's the thing about that. This is actually like a really slick way to like kill off the fractionalized banking system. Like, I don't know if people realize that, but let's say the entire banking system moves over to stable coins and they have to be 1-to-1 backed. We're not working in a fractionalized banking system any longer. We literally would have 1-to-1 backing for a stable coin with US Treasuries. Now, then it's like, okay, what are the Treasuries backed by? And hopefully that will be Bitcoin, gold, and other things someday, especially if they pull back the gold certificates and revalue them, from the Fed, and revalue them. That's about $1 trillion, and they'll give them back their 11 billion and be like, here you go, have fun. And then they'll just keep the rest and get Bitcoin and back treasuries and do a hybrid kind of a solution. At least that would be my suggestion if I ever had any say, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
like if you had a seat at a round table of some sort.
Yeah. Now, this doesn't rule out like a stablecoin issuer can over collateralize. Like, they can add Bitcoin too, like what Tether does and stuff like that. So the biggest thing about this is the native yield conversation. Look, you don't get native yield on $1 when you withdraw it from the bank, right? Some checking accounts might have some yield, but that's not normal, right? So, and what do they have? They have treasuries on the book, on the asset side of the balance sheet, right? And if you want to get yield, you put in a savings account or one of the bank's products, right? So, it makes sense. Native yield should go to the issuer. And I know I actually take it, people disagree with me and they hate me for it, but I think that it should go to the issuer. Why? Because as they're getting that yield, they can over collateralize, and they should be over collateralizing to prevent a depeg. If you're constantly giving that native yield to the people just holding in their wallet without having them stake, then that's a problem, because that can lead to an actual depeg situation over time, right? Is it attractive and fun? Sure. But I think that it just makes more sense. If you want to earn yield, then you stake. And that's where, a lot of the staking conversation comes up. And one of the reasons why you hear about the Ethereum staking side of things for a lot of these institutional players, even with the spot ETFs with Ethereum, is because staking can generate yield, of course, but it also opens the door for vectors for staking stable coins and earning yield. And obviously, you'll still be able to do that with any of the major stable coins.
And then they have the Clarity
Are you?
Act.
I'm just curious, Landy. Are you for or against the Genius Act? Personally,
I'm for it.
really.
Yep.
It has mandatory KYC on stables and stuff, right?
Yeah, I don't care. If you're going to use one of their coins, just don't use their coins.
It's going to onboard exit liquidity.
Yeah, I'm not even worried about exit liquidity. The whole world's going to be on chain soon.
So
everything's going to be tokenized.
The Genius Act is like, don't you think it's like a little bit odd that they're like essentially trying to legislate as essentially what they would prefer to have in CBDCs?
No, because you already have
into stables. I mean,
yeah, but you're attaching something to the US dollar, which you have to have KYC AML for anything you're doing in the banking sector anyway, right? So like, don't expect JP Morgan, your account that you have with like, JP Morgan or Fidelity or any one of these big brokerage firms, and you go and you log in, like they know exactly who you are. Like, so everything with their stable is going to be the same. And when you're backing one to one from a
for the
bank,
trees though, because you can prove identity with private keys, and why do you need to prove it with
yeah, that's not the point. That's
KYC?
not why those laws exist. It's literally anti-money laundering, and KYC is know your customer. That's, in the banking sector, this is very common stuff.
Well, I understand that, but it's also like potentially fucking weaponizable.
Yeah, look, you do know that we already live in a CBDC system, right? Like, just because we have cash floating around means nothing, right? Like, we already live under that system. There's guardrails all over the fiat systems. Every single fiat system has guardrails, right? So if you're tokenizing it, what everybody's afraid of is like, oh, then it's just easier for them. It's easy right now. Like, what are we talking about, right? Like, if you really value your privacy, you don't use that stuff. You use Bitcoin directly. You use Monero or any one of the other privacy coins directly then, right? But at some day you have to off ramp.
Don't you think that's a little bit normalization of mass surveillance?
No, we already have it. It's not normalization. This is not going any further than what we already have.
We're talking about legislatively normalizing mass surveillance on crypto assets.
Well, I mean, you do realize that when they issue those stables on chain, on like a DEX platform, for instance, you can't know your customer and you can't AML, right? It's literally a pair on a DEX.
No,
right? So when it starts making its way there.
I get the difference between a DEX and a SEX. I get that, but my concern here is that everybody chasing more adoption will lead to undermining the overall value proposition of crypto and blockchain-based technologies.
Blockchain-based technologies have been centralized for a very long time, and they have been surveilling all of us for a very long time. There's really only one decentralized network, and it's Bitcoin. And there's arguments against that, right? There's the templating argument and the fact that it's, easy, it's open, it's not private, so I mean, these are conversations as old as for many as old as Bitcoin, right? The legislation around stablecoins doesn't change any of that.
So would you agree that the Genius Act isn't about safety, but it's about control then?
No, it's about dollar domination and exporting the US dollar at much faster speeds. They don't need to clamp down on anything. It's not going to they can already clamp down. Like, they don't need a stablecoin to do that.
Yeah, but you don't do KYC when you're doing a cash transaction. And stablecoins are basically supposed to be the peer-to-peer representation.
How'd you get the cash in the first place? It's always going to be tracked back to you.
What are you talking about? I can add, like, one of my homies can give me cash for doing fucking mowing his lawn or some bullshit. Now they know that.
Anytime you interact with the system, though, they know.
Not if you just go in cash. Cash is anonymous, more or less.
You think it is?
They don't know when I go buy something with cash unless they have it like some sort of like identifier about that transaction. And if I'm doing it with cash, how are they identifying my purchase?
This is a much bigger conversation. But it's not difficult.
It's not easy.
No, it's not going to be any easier with KYC AML because they're going to bring all of these.
You're basically saying, yes, everybody has to provide your personal identifying information in order to use a stable, and the stables are basically the cash representation, that people mentally.
So when JP Morgan brings their stable coin to DEXs, and you interact with that DEX, you think they're going to know who you are?
Well, first off, I would never interact with a stable coin issued by JP Morgan.
Okay, but it's going to be ubiquitous and everywhere, and everyone's going to be starting to, because they're going to get the coins out there by saying, oh, you know what? We need adoption of this, so we're going to fund up all these liquidity pools. That's what's going to happen, right?
I get that there's an agenda at play here. My point is, what's the agenda? What's it
The
about?
agenda is dollar dominance. The agenda is less CBDC. We already live under a very highly controlled and centralized system, and this
You
is
think
just
this
an
moves-
extension of
Do you
it.
think that Genius Act's helping to move away from a CBDC?
It's not doing anything to further it. I mean, they shut down the CBDC pilots. They don't need it. It's unneeded.
I know,
You
but they're
don't need a
pushing towards
CBDC when you
I-
already live in that type
Yeah.
of a system.
Yeah, like that's my point. They're pushing towards CBDC style monitoring of every transaction. Not really not. I mean, that seems to be the obvious
They
fucking goal.
already do, is my
No,
point.
okay, then they're just trying to legitimize it.
No, it's not legitimized. It's already here. You already use the US dollar. You already have a bank account.
Yeah, but when
Right?
I go use cash that is
At
quote,
some
unquote,
point,
not on the
somebody
book,
took the cash out of a bank, and at some point, somebody will deposit it back in a bank, right?
Mhm.
So that
But doesn't
means
know- they don't know what I did. That doesn't mean they know.
no,
how
but
that
it's not
dollar
hard to
was being
track what
sent
you did with it.
It kind of is. I mean,
Not really. No. From a law enforcement side of things, from an intelligence side of things, if the nation state is interested in you, they can find everything.
yeah, but this is about. I'm not talking about individual surveillance. I'm talking about mass surveillance, dragnet style surveillance of every
Okay,
transaction.
are you
KYC
arguing that we
integrated.
don't already live in that?
I'm not arguing we don't already live in that. I'm saying why the fuck would we settle and transition basically the means to transact freely into a system where basically our transactions can be monitored.
Where can you transact freely outside of Bitcoin and Monero?
That's my point. Bitcoin, we can
Yeah.
with Bitcoin.
You can with Bitcoin.
Yeah, and so if we have stable coins that are anchored and backed by Bitcoin, don't you think that creates a little bit of a problem here?
But it's not anchored, and those stable coins are going to be backed by U.S. Treasury notes.
So is USDH not backed by Bitcoin then? Is that what you're saying?
No. USDH is backed by Bitcoin,
It's
but
a stable coin, right?
yeah, but it's also not backed. It's not Genius Act compliant.
That's my point. So don't you think that's a bit of a threat to Hermetica? Like, I mean,
No, because it's a U.S. law.
and because Hermetica is not located in the U.S., it doesn't matter.
I don't know what the implications are longer term. You have to see how it plays out. I mean,
Well,
for Hermetica, it would just be you
AML
can't use it here in the United
States
States.
are pretty internationally obligated. You know that how the banking system works. It's not about borders, right? And so it just seems odd that we would even pursue such line of thinking when the goal is why ask permission when we don't need it?
But you still don't need it.
No,
There's
well,
other
no,
ways.
for sure.
And this is what we've been doing forever.
But
Like this was
Yeah,
the original
stable-
fight.
I guess stables are just a sore subject for me after reading the details of this Genius Act, because it seems like they're basically trying to hijack stables and turn them into basically bastardized CBDCs.
I mean,
Yeah, I agree with
they're
that.
already bastardized CBDCs. Like you do know that Circle and Tether work very closely with the U.S. government, right?
Yeah, I already know all that. I don't tend to really support stables to begin with. I just don't like how stables are basically an on-ramp to crypto, and if they're going to try and regulate stables because, got to regulate something that's relative to the US dollars, then all of a sudden they're like, well, we're regulating stables, now we got to regulate everybody's crypto, and all of a sudden you fucking using crypto without our permission? That's a criminal act now.
I want to paint a very clear picture for you. No matter what, we interact with a fiat world still, right? And we will continue to do so after the Genius Act is passed. And at some point, you're exchanging something even for the most private coin, right? So, and that's going to be some fiat of some sort, whether it be digital or whether it be, you're going and unless you're going to go and pay cash, in which case you had to get it from somewhere and it had to come from a bank at some point, which means that there is an on-ramp and an off-ramp somewhere. And unless you're going to transact and deal in the world of like, I'm going to utilize cash and I'm going to wash this cash, because you have to wash cash. There's a reason why people wash cash, because it's easily trackable. It's on ramp, off ramp. So you have to wash it, and then you can go buy
I
Monero,
wouldn't say it's easily
and then use
trackable
Monero to.
unless
Well,
it's
listen,
unless you're
hear me
focused
out.
on it as
Hear
an
me out.
individual, though.
Hear me
There's
out.
between tracking somebody as an individual via cash transactions and there is tracking everyone in app
I get it,
currently.
but they already track everyone. My point
Not
is that
cash.
if you want to avoid those systems, obviously there are currently ways, and this doesn't do anything other than you back with US Treasuries, you export the dollar, and there's KYC AML. That's what it is. I mean, you're never going to get the banks on board with issuing stables or moving any portion of their treasury portfolio over and cash over to actually become issuers to start tokenizing stocks and stuff like that, unless there's KYC AML.
Or
And
unless their entire racket is threatened by being rendered obsolete.
I mean, their racket isn't threatened by being obsolete. They have all the money that comes into this space.
They don't have all the Bitcoin, obviously.
No, but they have all the money that comes into this space that is buoying the price and sucking up the supply, right? Like without it, we're just little pockets,
They most
of
definitely have all the money that
nomads.
they can print into infinity. That's for
What's
sure.
that?
I said they most definitely have all the money that they can print into infinity. That's for sure.
Sure, yeah. Well, my point being is on the on-ramp and off-ramp, whether that's a bank, whether that's a stable coin, there's always a way to be tracked, right? So we're always exchanging something for what we like, even in our most decentralized and even in the private protocols. So at some point, there's always a way to track. And whether it's heuristics, if you can't directly see into the network, like on Monero, there's a million ways to do all of these things. And we already live in that dragnet information, privacy society where we don't have any of these things, right? All of our information is aggregated, whether it's via our phones, our money, our movements, cameras, audio, everything, right? And it's not, it is a pretty dystopian world in that regard. But my point to you is like these stable coins and the Genius Act doesn't do anything to further that. It's literally just another iteration of it.
So it's normalizing, criminalizing financial privacy, basically.
I mean, we haven't had financial privacy since.
I know, but the desire to have financial privacy is basically being further.
Did you think we were going to go backwards? Did you think like they were going to like?
Well, we already have Bitcoin, right? So
Yeah, but
maybe.
Bitcoin didn't really start actually taking off until we had VC firms and prop shops and all that kind of shit starting to get in 2013.
On your definition of taking off.
Well, I mean, it was usable, but you still had to interact in a fiat system. I mean, even Pizza Day.
You could mine Bitcoin, like there. I mean,
sure.
If let's put it this way, the guy wouldn't have had to trade somebody for some fiat to buy the pizza if the vendor was willing to accept the Bitcoin to begin with, right? So.
Yeah, but that's the point, is that at some point, at some iteration, unless we were just going to all change over to Bitcoin, into a Bitcoin based system in a hard cut, you have to deal with the fiat world. So there's always that, and I'm not an idealist. Even as a Bitcoiner, I'm a realist at the end of the day, is that Bitcoin is still is going to be here, and we can still utilize it in whatever way we want. And there's going to be more people that are going to, more vendors that are going to pop up that are going to be accepting Bitcoin and Monero and other privacy coins as well.
But this is going to empower regulators to freeze and seize and block stable coin wallets at will, right?
They could already do that with your bank account.
Yeah, but we're talking about stablecoin wallets.
Yeah, but they need a reason to.
That's turning
laws. This doesn't give them blanket power to just cut you off.
Well, if that's a precedent. If it's touching dollars, it's got to be watched.
Well, yeah, that's why you have to watch what actual laws are in place that would allow them to do that. And so far, there are none. KYC AML would be okay if law enforcement is after an individual for something, I mean, it's the same. They'd be blocking not just any stable wallets; they'd be blocking all of their assets, and they can already do all of these things. Is my point.
So it's gonna. To me, it just seems like a consolidation of power.
It's not. The power's already been consolidated. That's what I'm trying
I
to
know,
tell
but
you.
Bitcoin
It's already
fights
over.
consolidation of power. So Bitcoin lost. Is that what you're saying? Or
No, how did Bitcoin lose? Bitcoin's not going anywhere. You can
then
still
why the
use
fuck would we
Bitcoin.
want to ask permission? Like, this is my point. Like, stable coins are a product of crypto and Bitcoin.
No, they're not.
Okay, then what the fuck are they?
Stable coins are a vector for the US dollar. They have nothing to do with Bitcoin unless you want to trade it for Bitcoin.
So USDH, a stablecoin, has nothing to do with Bitcoin, even though it's backed by Bitcoin.
Okay, I think
Like,
you
I'm
don't
so
understand
fucking
what
confused right now.
USDH is.
Okay, please explain it to me like I'm 12 then.
It's a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin, right? This falls
Okay.
way outside of the purview of the Genius Act.
Are you sure?
You know it's a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin. It's minted with Bitcoin, and the reason why it's a stablecoin is because a short is taken on the other side that allows him to issue an on-chain stable
But the
dollar.
language,
He could call it whatever he wants. It would just be pegged at a dollar. He could call it Hermetica coin, and it would still be a dollar.
No, I get that it's just a superficial label to a token. I get that, but my point is, it's the language of this Genius Act is very, we'll just say,
It doesn't connect to Bitcoin in any way. Is my point to you?
I don't know.
How does it connect to Bitcoin?
Because it's trying to basically build a narrative that wanting privacy is equal to being a criminal.
That narrative's already been built. You don't need. That's not what this does.
No, but it's reinforcing it legislatively.
Okay, but
stop
then use
acting
Bitcoin.
like people are willing to do it already without legislative approval means that we should not even give a fuck. I mean, that seems crazy.
Okay, because you equated this to Bitcoin, you lost me.
So you don't think that having a legislation on the books that basically makes it to where if you want to have, self-custody, it's going to have erosion there. If you want to have...
That's not what the legislation says.
So this is what I
pressures
was saying
platforms
earlier,
and wallets to blacklist non-KYC addresses. What are you talking about?
What'd you say, dude? Dark dude?
I was saying, this is what I was saying earlier, is that the narrative of the cycle is going to be the stablecoin super cycle, and we're going to realize that not all stablecoins are created equal. So
Yes.
USDC and USDC have built-in blacklist functions, which is going, though the negative of that fact is going to highlight other stablecoins that are inherently better built or decentralized in nature, like things like USDH or Pulse Chain PDI.
So this nice one there, buddy. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. There needs to be, I guess, maybe a separation of terms here, because they're trying to essentially, the term stablecoin is what is essentially being, I don't know if it's bastardized.
It's very specific. It's very specific to licensed issuers and to the backing of that particular stablecoin for licensed issuers. So if you're going to be a stablecoin issuer, it is laying out the rules for being a stablecoin issuer.
Is Hermetica with Hermetica? Let's assume for a second Hermetica was in USD jurisdiction or the US jurisdiction. Would you say that they are issuing them? Or, I mean,
no, they would not be. No, it's a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin. The Hermetica doesn't hold treasury assets.
Okay, so
I get
what you're saying, and I'm just trying to. How is a fucking dumbass lawyer gonna interpret this? How is a dumbass politician gonna interpret this when you have terms like stablecoin being so
talking to
loosely,
somebody who's maybe got a little experience there? So
okay, so you don't think they're gonna loosely interpret what a stablecoin is to benefit more?
No, they can't. They can only go by what's written. Now, is it broad enough? And look, what's bugging everybody is the KYC AML portion and the fact that it must be backed with treasury assets, right? So those are the if you were going to take two major points that people are up in arms about. It's that it has to be one-to-one backed with U.S. Treasuries, and it has to have KYC AML. It's specific to those stable coins that issuer issues, right? So that is that's not any different than what we currently have in the stablecoin market outside of other stable coins that are building in a different way, like Hermetica, which is Bitcoin backed, not US Treasury backed.
Yeah,
Right?
I get what you're saying there, and that makes a lot of sense. And
So-
I think that ties into what Dark Dude was saying too about the blacklist versus non-blacklisting functionality. How that's going to start to show the difference between the different tokens.
Well, and this is, you do understand that all stablecoin issuers have done is replicate what banks do. That's it. That is literally all they've done. They've done nothing different. They haven't gone any further. And even when you look at USDT for Tether and Circle, right? They haven't gone any further. In fact, regulators want them to go further to be more in line with what the banks already do. And that's where we don't live in a world where fiat doesn't exist. It'd be different if we lived in a purely crypto-based world where fiat didn't exist, right? But we have these systems that are already well established and in space in everywhere, right? It's
So you're saying because USDH is backed by Bitcoin, then the bans towards algorithmic and yield-bearing stable coins that are packaged up in this genius act.
algorithmic stable coins will always go to zero, just so you know.
I understand that. I'm trying to
that's a good
create
point.
trying to create clarification here on, because we have the term stablecoin and it's so loosely thrown around, and there's clearly differences between them, right?
Sure,
And
yeah,
so-
but the only real difference is at the end of the day, it's the backing of that stable coin, right?
Well, and kind of
And
how
how
the
it's
execution
issued.
of the transactions are administrated, right? Whether or not they're
yeah,
permissionless
and I
in the
mean,
sense that they don't
Tether
have
and
blacklists
Circle,
and
Tether and Circle are trying to remain compliant with the banking institutions, which is why, why they have the blacklist feature, because they can blacklist wallets based on other outside information, right? If law enforcement wants to freeze all your funds, but they can't freeze your crypto wallet, well, then now Tether and Circle can jump in, and so can any new stablecoin issuer, right? So, of course, that is, but that doesn't touch anything like Bitcoin. That doesn't touch anything like any of the privacy coins. It has nothing to do with them. Just don't trade out and use those.
You don't think it creates a precedence and will allow them to wiggle their way closer? I mean, it seems like that's kind of like the
how they have no technical means.
I know that this would facilitate the means to gain all the infrastructure to
No.
facilitate the mass surveillance, and then create a
good luck
methodology, so to speak.
They've been trying to control Bitcoin in that way for a long time. Look at how they've been trying.
I think they realize they can't control Bitcoin at this point, so they're trying to control all the exits.
They already control all the exits. If you want to live a normal life, you're using fiat at some point. They control all the exits. Like that's kind of the point.
With innovation like stacks and faster transactions, subnets, and shit like that, then that means their ability to safeguard that last mile is increasingly close to not feasible in mass. So eventually we're going to have integrated point of sales at the merchant that basically sidestep fiat entirely, and at that point they'll have basically they'll have the little bit of legislation they can work with. Oh, look, we're here, we got to get in the mix some more. So I just don't want all the work that we've been doing as builders towards freedom to be undermined by short-sighted gains and number go up mentality, when the number is irrelevant when it comes to freedom. Like the best we could hope for is more freedom, not more
legislation.
More
was never going to save you anyway, right? Like,
I know it's only a threat at this point. So
no, I mean, my point is that I don't know when you got into Bitcoin or when I got in, the reasons that I got in were for the principle of it, right? And I feel where you're coming from.
That's why I'm still in.
Yeah. So nothing has changed, right? In fact, it used to be that if you were discovered with Bitcoin, you were a fucking criminal. I don't know how early you were. That's why I was asking. Like, have you ever gotten a knock
my
on your
point.
door?
This is my point. It hasn't always been rosy in these neck of the woods, so to speak. You used to be basically assumed to be guilty by default, and now
Yes.
this legislation is very reminiscent of that same type of mentality of where
Nah.
unless you kiss the ring, unless you
Nah.
bend the knee, then you're a fucking criminal.
It's
And
siloed,
even though it's just
brother.
about freedom.
Brother, I understand your concerns, but it's siloed to the stablecoin side of things, which we've already had to deal with. It's just another vector for fiat, which is already something that we've dealt with for a long time. And it's no different than what we already have to deal with in that regard. So my point behind that is it doesn't change that there's nothing that changes with Bitcoin or any privacy coins. Like that's like nothing can touch that. You know what touches that? Is the fact that now they are interested enough in Bitcoin that they want to hoover up as much as possible, attach it to the treasury so there isn't enough for people to gather. And then you'll have to deal with the stables as it's a vector for Bitcoin backing and gold backing and all of that. And then that's how they increase the surveillance state, right? Like that.
Yeah, that's my point. That's setting up. I mean, you're basically acknowledging the strat or the strategy, but then saying,
But it's
don't
a
worry about the
free.
method and the means in which they're about to achieve.
But yeah, well, yeah,
it's crazy.
because I've spoken on this many, many, many times for many years. Because it's a free market and anyone can enter, right? So unless all the regular people were going to hoover up the outsized portion of Bitcoin, at some point, you're either cut out via choke point or you're absorbed, right? And this happens with every system. And all decentralized systems throughout history trends towards centralization, and then they trend back towards decentralization. And within centralized systems, we have decentralized systems, and we operate in a very highly centralized system while utilizing our favorite decentralized system in Bitcoin, right? And it's not going to go anywhere. We'll always be able to fire up nodes and transact with each other. It's about what are the limitations if you actually want to do something that won't, outside of accepting Bitcoin, right? That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. And that's the same for any network, whether it's Bitcoin or Monero or, Zcash or MWeb on Litecoin, right? So in my opinion, this does not, the Genius Act, as scary as I think you might think it is no different. It doesn't move the needle, so to speak. I understand where your endpoint is, but that was always the endpoint with cash, either in cash systems. So
my point is, I care about privacy and open finance and peer-to-peer and resisting tyranny, and I love freedom. And if your monetary system only works based on coercion, then it's basically not just. And that's what attracts me to Bitcoin so much, because it works without coercion. And so, introducing coercive elements into a system that's void of that coercion,
no, it's
at least
already
towards
here, brother. That's my point to you. Is I'm sorry to inform you, but that's already been here, and it's been here for a long time.
Yeah, I get. I'm not saying that we've had perfection prior to Bitcoin, and we should, or imperfection. I'm saying we should all work towards a greater perfection, right? And to me, that's enshrinement of freedom and respect for freedom, because the individual sovereignty is what ultimately matters the most. Because if you don't have individual sovereignty, then you are by definition a slave.
Sure.
If it's through a bunch of proxies, it doesn't matter if it's through a bunch of proxies or not. It's do you have the freedom to actually transact without
slaves.
approval?
We are slaves. That's why Bitcoin
I think
was
it starts
created.
mentally. I think it starts mentally. And
yeah, but do you still use cash?
Only because a vendor I buy some stuff from doesn't
exactly.
It's
always the answer
that's not me being a slave. That's the vendor being a slave.
No, because you have to participate in it and perpetuate the system, or you can't live.
Guys, I have to admit, it's not you, it's me.
Are you perpetuating the system? What the hell's wrong with you?
No, we all have
I
a most
knew it.
definitely a culpability into it. I'm not denying that, but my point is, when you're presented with the choice to perpetuate the problem or call it out, it most definitely should be called out rather than just like, well, it is what it is, and it's going to be that way, and fuck it, I guess. And
No, I mean, you can call it out all you want, but this does not change anything. Like this Genius Act does not change anything. And as scary as I think that many find it, what you'll find is the other side of it was going to be way scarier, right? It's either you're going to integrate these systems and have the basic currency forever and be in Bitcoin, and then there's such a limited amount of people in Bitcoin that it just happens at a later date, right?
yeah, I don't know if I buy into the notion of it's either fucking join us or fucking.
No. It's not join us. It's infiltrate.
I think that markets are so thoroughly rigged that they're free.
I would argue that because of the hyper competition between the riggers, yes. Because those that rig markets in this way, they have to outcompete each other for the top spot. So it ends up being fair at the end of the day. I spent a lot of time in traditional markets, and I can tell you that this kind of stuff, maybe it's no comfort to you. Genius Act doesn't scare me. Why? Because Bitcoin, in my personal opinion, was invented to infiltrate the already existing systems. I mean, it was well talked about. Like it's a free market, anyone can adopt it. If it's adopted, they're going to adopt it, and everyone knew it, right? The bigger players, the nation states, so on and so forth. So if they adopt it, what's the benefit to that? Well, everybody says, well, then they can take control and your freedom's gone. Well, what's the benefit to that? It's that the people have insight, because now we can read the ledger and we can see what they're doing with our money, especially if Bitcoin is backing it, right? We have insight into anyone that holds Bitcoin. Like a good example is just go look at the BlackRock ETF, spot ETF. We can go on chain, we can see where it's being held, and we can compare that to how many shares are issued. Keeps them honest, right? You have to infiltrate instead of invasion. And the Bitcoin maxi ethos was always invasion. It's like, we got a hard cut to Bitcoin. Like, good luck. We live in reality, not in fantasy land. How many vendors are you going to onboard? They're going to lose their whole business just trying to transition to this new model because there's just not enough people on it.
That assumes that the transactions have to be wholly and sold in Bitcoin and can't be partial payments, to soften the transition. But I think it just, if it boils down to the choice between regulatory uncertainty or tyrannical certainty, I'd rather have regulatory uncertainty.
Well, the regulatory uncertainty allowed for indiscriminate prosecution of innocent people.
Now,
right. So,
well, I get that, and that is fucked up. But that's clearly fucked up on that. If we basically say, okay, well, now it's normalized to have these types of fucking criminal prosecutions. I don't know. It just seems crazy.
I love the different viewpoints from different. So like, Crypto Dude, you're a builder. Landy, you do things. I don't know exactly what you do, but
mine Bitcoin.
Yes, like, we're all here for the ethos, right? We're here for decentralization in our own fashion. And guys, I'm real hungry, so I think I'm gonna go eat a sandwich. And I love this conversation, but I love a sandwich a little bit more right now. So, guys, I want to go around the room. I want to get last final thoughts, statements, final frequencies, shameless shows, all of that out of the way, and then GP's gonna go cook some dinner. But I would love to have this conversation again, because I think you guys are you have two sides of a coin, right? Something like that. And
we're aligned on the ethos, just difference. I think I understand exactly what he's saying, because I'm the same way, but I also understand the inevitable, I guess, and so does he, and I don't like it either. But
well, I tend to try not to have I mean, you're basically saying inevitability and state surveillance. I tend to look at that as a nihilistic point of view, no offense. And I try to have more of an optimistic point of view and believe humans have the capacity to better themselves and be the best versions of themselves, including the people that, you know, you might not even expect it from, like, you know, or the least expect it from. So I just want people to respect freedom more. That's really what it's all about for me at the end of the day.
I agree.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, it's the 4th of July week. So, I mean, the only guarantee is death. So, until then, whatever prices
Bingo.
do, carry on top.
Let's go.
I mean, that's an accurate take.
Awesome. Dudes, I love you to death, and I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming to spend some time with me. It is our most valuable asset, and you are right, Dark Dude. We are all destined to die one day. So, fellas, let's do this again. I like this. We need these types of conversations happening. I think that a lot of education can come from it. People can like actually be free thinkers and make their own opinions. And what you've seen here is a perfect example of that, right? Different viewpoints, certain places where they kind of cross, some places where they're not so aligned, and that's the beauty of it, right? We're having these conversations out in the open, live, and we need to do more of that, so we can promote free thinking. And yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for spending so much time like on this topic, because I feel like you did justice by it.
Thanks, guys.
Anytime.
And look, I do appreciate the conversation as well. Don't take it as like because I disagree that I don't. I do value the conversation. I appreciate all of you, and I look forward to talking with you guys soon again. Hopefully, if I get some time.
Fucking, I know you're a busy dude. Make some time, man. Let's kick it up. Let's chop these conversations up and get to it. So, thank you, fellas. I hope that you have a blessed rest of your night. Have high frequency vibes as you go through the rest of your day, night, afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
Later, guys.
Later. Take care, guys.
And this was another based episode of DeOrganized Nightly, where we get your favorite Giga Brain Astronaut Scholars into the room to have a nice discussion about the Genius Act or the Genius Trap, depending on what your viewpoint is on regulatory clarity. I appreciate everybody for spending some of their most valuable assets, which is our time together to kind of hash these things out. And promote free thinking. Be sure to tune into the Let's Go morning show at 8:30 a.m. ET Monday through Friday. Tune in for the Let's Go morning show, DeOrganized Nightly segment at 7 p.m. ET. And yeah, get into the Zest and Stacking Down Discord. It's got some based activities going down. Tomorrow we have the weekly Zest screen share going down in the Discord. Yeah, GP's hungry. He's been up since like 5 o'clock and just like, grinding. I'm in the trenches doing all sorts of stuff. My buddies are like conversating about important matters. I'm kind of like floating around in there at this point and need to recharge my batteries so I can be sharp for tomorrow. But yeah, you guys have a high frequency the rest of your night. Keep loving the room. Keep chipping away. Stay ahead of the curve. And DeOrganized is where it's at. Go to DeOrganized.media, set up your profile today, and start earning some dApps. And yeah, we'll do this all again tomorrow, guys. I'll see you soon. Peace.
We're so early ahead. The future's so bright. We need shade.